Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I am Morris Merrill, the host of Straight Talk in Room 503 and the author of Enough is Enough, Public Education Has Spiraled Out of Control. I thank you for joining me again for another week, and I look forward to this class each week, and I hope that you look forward to it. I'm going to give you some information today that you really need to know. But before doing so, let me briefly talk about we have now experienced 2 more killings of African American males. African American blood running on the street. Ladies and gentlemen, there was no reason for the 2 gentlemen to have lost their lives because of the fact that they're saying that he didn't comply. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the individuals had a disability and had hearing loss, and one of his perhaps did not hear the command. But ladies and gentlemen, both men should be alive. On the one that is in the other city, which is Tulsa, Oklahoma, you hear people saying, without knowing the individual, he's a bad dude. Ladies and gentlemen, if it makes me a bad dude just because I'm black, then I guess I am a bad dude. But ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't make sense. America is a sick nation. There must be some healing. We must come together as people. God will want us to love. He says in his word, love thy neighbor as thyself. I guess these people just don't understand it. But ladies and gentlemen, let's pause for just a few moments and give a silence prayer for the family and the loved one of 2 of the gentlemen that was killed. Let us bow for just a moment. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I do appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, this week I come to you, and the first session will be on get the marching band off the field. Again, the subject for the first portion of the class, get the marching band off of the field. Ladies and gentlemen, this is at a football game, and the rivalry team is playing, and we're in the 4th inning. And it appears that the opposing team has won the game. They begin to cheer. You hear a crowd just cheering. Ladies and gentlemen, there's only 10 minutes left in the game. And so it's all over. They're saying it's all over. So they begin the band began to play, and the crowd began to go haywire. But ladies and gentlemen, the underdogs just believed that they could win. See, you have to have a spirit of winning. You have a spirit of losing and a spirit of winning. And so this team had a spirit of winning. So they huddled and made their last play. Ladies and gentlemen, they looked up and the clock is still running. Now it's only 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. The band cheered up and began to leave the stand to go down to the field to do the victory dance. But ladies and gentlemen, that team didn't give up. They kept on. That's what we need to do in public education. We can't afford to give up. That's what the good old boys want us to do. They want us to give up. We must continue to fight. You may give up, but I'm going to continue to fight to improve public education and to make sure all children get a quality education until I hear Gabriel blowing the trumpet. I'm going to continue to fight. You must make the decision that when God asks, what did you do? You must answer for yourself, and I must answer for me. But the band is headed down to the field. Then the ball is thrown. The opposing team is advancing. The guy, they notice he's about to get tackled. He passed the ball on to the next player. The next player is about to get tackled. He passed the ball on to the next player. By this time, the band is on the field, and they're blocking the team. They can't hardly get through. The second guy throws the ball to the third guy. The third guy is weaving in and out of the band and the players. And ladies and gentlemen, the band is playing. He goes on, and my goodness, it's a touchdown. Game's over. The team that was losing won. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what is happening in public education. We have sit back and allow the opposing team, the people who oppose public education, the charter people, the private school people, our elected officials, our superintendents who have joined band with the Chamber of Commerce, the county commission, the Department of Education. They have allowed us to believe that we're going to lose, that we're on the opposing team, and the opposing team is going to beat us. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not true. You must have a winning spirit. Your spirit must stay strong. But ladies and gentlemen, there was a touchdown. The victims went on to become victors. It's up here. It's a mind thing, ladies and gentlemen. If the powers to be and the good old boys could ever convince you that you can't do it, then you're defeated already. I don't have a defeat mentality. I have a winning mentality. I can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens me. I can do whatever I want to do in life. But ladies and gentlemen, you must have that same spirit. That's why public education is losing. People are going home. They're getting up out of the stand and going on and saying they're going to do what they want to. They have taken and turned this into a charter school. They are letting Montessori program take their kids and going on to greatness. And then they're leaving us in dilapidated, rundown schools. Not well cared, no resources. They are not looking at what is good for the community. They're thinking about what's good for their children. Ladies and gentlemen, you must get the marching band off of the field. The field of public education I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, join me this week as we march on and tell the marching band, get off of the field. The game is not over. We're in it to win. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move on, just want to give you this bit of information. Please do not forget the people who are the money folks behind most, if not all, charter schools. The Koch brothers, Pearson publishers who publish the primary books and tests, people that's holding the money. It's about the money and a minimum accountability with arbitrary selection of their students that they want to educate. In the charter school, they select who they want to educate. In public education, they have to educate whoever comes. That's the difference in charter school, where they seem to be doing better. They got certain students. The private school seems to be doing better. They select their students. And believe me, if you present problems at the private school and the charter school, you're out. The new breed of students that they are preparing to march on the field are the students who are coming from charter schools and private schools. They're not the public school students. If the public school team doesn't improve, have the resources, have the highly qualified, highly effective teachers, if we don't prepare our students for the challenge of tomorrow, the charter school will march on to the field. The private school will march on to the field. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to be ready to march. When they come on the field, we got to come on the field. It's time, as the song said, it's time for a showdown. We got to show down, ladies and gentlemen, and you can't show down if you don't bring anything to show. Ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't make any sense. Listen, let's go to Chicago. Chicago Public Schools has lost $2 billion. Let me repeat that again. Chicago Public School System has lost $2 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, from public education. Ladies and gentlemen, that $2 billion could have went a long ways. But where are the money going? The money follows the child, ladies and gentlemen. Every time a public school student get up and leave and go to private school, that weakens public education. The moment that a child gets up and go to one of the paid Montessori programs, that weakens the public education system. The moment that a child gets up and goes to charter school, the money follows the child, ladies and gentlemen. That weakens public education. Ladies and gentlemen, they know. Assuming that you had a house and you build the house on stilts, and then you begin to weaken the corners of the building. Ladies and gentlemen, that building is going to sway. And when the winds of time come, that building is going to crumble. They are betting on public education crumbling to the ground. While you sit back and not do anything, keep quiet, keep going to church and singing the hymns, keep going to church and shouting, raising your hand. God are looking for people in the work in the vineyard. You got to say, ye of little faith. You must have faith that we can win this victory. I don't know about you. I have a winning mentality. I believe that I can do all things. I know I can do all things. My Bible tells me I can do all things through Jesus Christ who strengthened me. You can do all things. But ladies and gentlemen, when we as educators, we simply retire and we go home. We don't volunteer. We don't go and read to children. We don't even do Sunday school classes at our churches. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe that God is pleased with that. I believe that he's looking for some warriors. I believe he's looking for some people that will reach back and help someone else. What if the way we're doing, some of us, sitting down on our children, what if they would have sit down on us? You wouldn't have got that good job. You wouldn't have been able to move in that nice neighborhood. You wouldn't have been able to wear the clothes that you're wearing. You wouldn't be able to drive the car that you're driving. There was people who invested in you. What are you doing? Are you invested in a child's life? That's the question on the floor. Hang with me. I'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, as I tell you each week, I'm glad to be a servant of the people. God wants us to be servant. When you come into church on Sunday, you are to leave as a servant, go out into the community. When you complete your degree and get your education, you are to return back and make sure that someone else come uphill. But we're so busy making sure that we get an education, that our children get a good education, and we move away from the community. We never return. We never do anything for the community. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not believe that God is pleased with that. God is not concerned about what you have because he gave all of that to you. I'm a servant and been a servant all my life. God doesn't want your ability. Oh, I have a master's degree. I have a doctor's degree. I graduated from college. I went to 2 universities. God is not interested in that. Had he not made it possible for you, you wouldn't have been able to receive that. God is not concerned about your ability. He's concerned about your availability. Are you available to go back into the vineyard and help others to come up the hill? That's what God is concerned about. I'm going to make sure that I hear God say, well done. What would I live on earth all of my life and not hear God say, well done, thy good and faithful servant? Ladies and gentlemen, that would not make any sense. What are you doing? Ask yourself, where and what are you doing? Ladies and gentlemen, before I get into the report of the 2 schools that we attended this year, when I say we, I'm talking about I and Reverend Baxter. We went to 2 more schools this week. But before doing so, an interesting point is this. Ladies and gentlemen, I researched each time that they shoot an African-American male wrongfully deaf, but they don't do anything with the officers. The cities are paying multi-million dollars to the family. And the families are making it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this doesn't make any sense. If these people do not like African Americans, it sure sounds strange that you don't like them, but you're willing to pay the family $1.2 million, $2.6 million, one family $6 million. It doesn't make sense. That money will not replace my son, my daughter. But ladies and gentlemen, the cities don't have any problem killing them and then paying the money out. And then those who call themselves so smart in church on Sunday, bankers, lawyers, doctors, mayors, county commissioners, city commissioners, you don't have any problem holding back blacks, but you spend out money paying them. You don't have any problem spending tax money in the public school system, but then send the tuition on to private school, pay double for your child to go on to private school. Ladies and gentlemen, something doesn't smell right, something doesn't look right. That doesn't make sense, but millions of dollars has been spent out to these parents of these young men who have been killed on the street. That doesn't make any sense. Ladies and gentlemen, stay with me. We're going to return in the second session of the class. We're going to talk about speaking to your mountains. Ladies and gentlemen, the second session about speaking to your mountains. Stay with me. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Baxter and I attended 2 schools in my hometown. Keep in mind, as we talk each week and I say what's going on in my hometown is going on in your hometown. I thought just earlier I proved the point that in Chicago, the same thing is going on. Over 6 schools have been shut down in Chicago, just like they have in my hometown. But the amazing thing, they are not closing down schools where it's majority whites. They're closing down schools where it's majority black. Don't you get it? Are you so educated that you're so doggone crazy that you can't understand it? Ladies and gentlemen, this doesn't make any sense. And you're quiet every week. What are you telling your grandchildren? Granny, what's going on? I don't know. I don't attend the meetings and everything. And I don't listen to Mr. Merriweather class either. I got my education. You got to go get yours. Ladies and what are we telling our sons and our daughters? You can be anything you want to be. And they're going to schools where they don't have the resources. They're pulling the teachers out. They're only seeing a majority of whites. They're not hiring black males. They're not hiring black males, but they're killing black males. It doesn't make any sense. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going from educating to incarceration over education. How long will you allow this to happen? Ladies and gentlemen, you can't stay in church all your life. You can't go to Bible class all your life and not do nothing. Church and Bible class should make you a better person, make you stand up for your brothers and your sisters. One thing I do appreciate on the march, when you look at those people, they are not people that, majority of them are not over the age of 50 and 60 and 70 years old. They are young people. The reason a lot of the violence is taking place, poverty in our school system, haven't been taught how to handle conflict. They hadn't been taught conflict resolution, how to have peaceful march, how to make your impact known. Ladies and gentlemen, things will turn around. Just this week on news, I was looking. The GOP, they're saying now in a minute, they cannot win, the Republican Party cannot win the election this year without African Americans. That's why Donald Trump is quoting African American and coming and looking silly, is making stupid statements. What the hell you got to lose? Got a whole lot to lose if we get behind the wrong person. Ladies and gentlemen, there got to be some changes in America. Listen, we went to West Bemis Middle School in my hometown. And it's the same thing in your hometown. Do the math. Ladies and gentlemen, check this out. There is a total of 441 students in my hometown attending a middle school. And ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the breakdown. 77 blacks, 8 Hispanics, 1 Mexican, 143 whites. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, 143 whites. Majority African Americans at this school. But let's go and see how it's looking on the paying well, who's getting the money. Ladies and gentlemen, they have right here at that particular school, the principal is white, the secretary is white, the attendance worker is white. When we walked into the school, I said, what's going on? I mean, everything looks white. But then when I look into the classrooms, the majority of them are black. And we went on and researched further. Ladies and gentlemen, we then found out that let's look at the breakdown of the teachers. Who's making the money? You do know you're a taxpayer and you're paying for these teachers' salary. You did know that with your smart self. Ladies and gentlemen, there was 2 black teachers, 2 black assistants, and 1 black special ed teacher. That's it. The rest of the staff is white in a predominant school system, in a predominant black school. And you sitting at home, I got a degree. You may have a degree, but you have no common sense. You're just sitting there and letting this stuff happen and you're paying for it. Every day, your taxes go to pay the principal, the secretary, the guidance counselor, and the teachers. We're not making the money. Ladies and gentlemen, they know what they're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, our black males are dying on the street. They can't get jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, they're coming from homes where some of them are single parents' home. And some of the best kids are from single parents, don't get me wrong. But ladies and gentlemen, we need that male in that home. He needs to be stable. We need to make sure that our males are being taught. When we was in our predominant black schools, we could talk to our black kids. Now, do you think that they're talking about how to make us better citizens? Ladies and gentlemen, no. They're moving on to private schools and charter school. Our kids are being raised at school while you are putting them on the bus. Get on the bus, get on the bus. I guess you need to add the rest of it. Get on the bus, get on the bus. The white people are waiting for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a prejudiced person, but right is right and wrong is wrong. There is no way if we flip it. And let's say that there is no school in our system where it's predominantly white and we're controlling it. We control nothing, but yet they won't still want our tax dollars. We went on downstairs to one of the programs, and we also talked with a gentleman. And this gentleman had just got into the school system. He was white. He said that he was doing other kind of work, plumbing, and just decided that I guess I'll go and teach. The reason he said that because he knew once he pulled off his clothes of a plumber, he could easily go and apply for the job. And the superintendent would come in and say, fine, thank you. Come on in. I see you. You're white. Right, come in. We're hiring whites. Ladies and gentlemen, if that gentleman went outside and came back in black, we have no vacancies. We're not hiring blacks. And we're allowing it to happen. In my hometown, we're paying $130,000 to a superintendent. We got a board where only 2 blacks on the board. Their power is diluted. And then we have 7 more on there. Ladies and gentlemen, in my hometown, but I can say this publicly, there's only 1 on that board that I have the utmost confidence in. Because the others, I don't see them fighting. I see them joining sides. While they joining sides, our kids are not learning. But yet we see them on the street. How you, Dr. So-and-so? How you, Miss So-and-so? We speaking. We have so little intelligence. We don't even know who is helping us and who is not helping us. And you won't join the fight with me because you're too busy to say, what's he talking about this week? I'm talking about how dumb you are and how smart you can be. That's what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, something is badly wrong. Let me throw one more and we're going to move to the last school and we're getting out of here. Then as I went out in the hallway, I looked over the door and there was a room named after, what is that, Mr.? I said, Dr. Baxter, what is that? He said, oh, try reading it, Mr. Merriweather. You know you can read. I said, the Jane Bratchett Library. The Jane Bratchett Library. And I turned to my friend and I said to him, wait a minute, something ain't right. The husband was a principal, and the son is on the school board. Ladies and gentlemen, why is it that in my hometown, you better start checking some stuff out, getting into some buildings, the only classroom or building room, in a way over 100,000 population of people, in a predominant black school system, there's only one room named after a white person. Not one named after an African American. And we hold in the majority. While they closing our school, they naming rooms at schools after them. And in this particular school, ladies and gentlemen, in this particular school, there are more whites than blacks. And there used to be more blacks, but they bust them out. They doing it with the zone lines. Don't you know what they're doing? You got that much education that you can't figure it out? Ladies and gentlemen, it's a sad day. Let me cover the last school. The last school. We have a Montessori program. Ladies and gentlemen, look at this. Montessori is designed to help children reach their full potential at a unique pace. Research studies show that Montessori children are well prepared for later life. That's why it's so majority white. Because they understand it will well prepare you for later life. How, Mr. Merriweather? Academically, socially, emotionally. In addition, you score well on standard tests. Isn't that what's happening in the school, that the test scores are down, the reading level are down, and white kids are fleeing. Ladies and gentlemen, search criteria also help them to follow direction, turn in their work on time, listen attentively, use basic skill, show responsibility, show enthusiasm for learning and adapting to new situations. And Montessori program is just something else, ladies and gentlemen. But the majority of the students in the Montessori program are white. Some in the black community hadn't figured it out. Parents are not saying, I need you to go to the Montessori program. The child is running the show. Mama, I want to go with Megan. I don't want to go with Megan. I want to go with Bubba. I want to go with Shanika. Okay, go ahead on. Shanika and Bubba both is in the wrong school. Ladies and gentlemen, listen. The Montessori program, they have 323 whites, 15 multicultural, 11 Hispanics, 63 blacks, 5 Asian. Ladies and gentlemen, I hadn't figured this out. The Asian, the Hispanic, and the multicultural students, they hadn't figured out that if we come together, there's strength in numbers. But we're so concerned about the color of your skin that we're allowing those who are not people of color to run the show. Ladies and gentlemen, after this election year, it's too important for us to sit this one out. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time. It's time to get those marching bands off of our field and begin our own percussion. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now we get our own trumpet, our own trombones, our own drums, our own flutes, and all the other instruments. And we need to start our own band. There's a need and a push for our own charter schools. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't continue to elect people who are holding our kids back, our grandkids back. It's time now that if they're not going to do a job for all the people, we don't need to vote for them. We got so many of our elected officials in office now, not doing anything for our people. And we're just eating the ground up they walk on. I got a good friend of mine who is sold out to one of the elected officials in this city. We used to be, I thought, like this. But now since Mr. Charlie has got him, he's like this with me. Sometimes I see him, he speaks, sometimes I don't. He never was a friend. That's why I tell people, you don't know who your friends are. Quit running around to me, I got a lot of friends. You got a lot of dead weight that you need to cut out. You need to cut it down and get yourself some lean friends. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a change. That Montessori program is awesome. I don't have a young child, but if I had a young child, they would be in the Montessori program. We have a program that we'll be attending next week. It is a private school inside a public school. It's one of the academies. We're going over to see them. It's majority white, ran by white principals, white sister principals. Ladies and gentlemen, with all your education, you're sitting there allowing things to happen right in your backyard. But ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the Montessori program. The Montessori program has 323 students, 160 whites. My. We got 4 Asian, 34 blacks, 4 Hispanics, 4 Mexicans, and a predominant white. Now, if you will, let's just look at the breakdown. The breakdown is that we have a white principal, a white secretary, and a white attendance aide. When we walked into the building, all thing we could see was white. We was only 2 blacks in the office. And then they look at us, what y'all want? I asked them, has not anyone from the community, I'm in a community of over 130,000 people, or is it true that Mr. Baxter and myself are the only 2 people who are checking? They say, yeah. How many times have the superintendent been in this year? We getting ready to go home for Thanksgiving and Christmas. One time. How can you govern from an office, ladies and gentlemen, and you sit here and allow your tax dollars to just be spent just any kind of way? And you're going to tell me you intelligent? You want me to call you attorney so-and-so? You want me to call you Dr. so-and-so? You want to call you accountant so-and-so? Ladies and gentlemen, you're just making money for yourself and your family? What about the masses of the people? Ladies and gentlemen, it's a sad day. But that Montessori program, but ladies and gentlemen, it's just totally blown Mr. Baxter, Reverend Baxter in our mind. How that both of the schools we went to, the principal was white, the assistant principal was white. The Montessori, the principal is white, the secretary is white, the attendance is white, everything white. But they're looking for our black money. Ladies and gentlemen, that is about the craziest thing I ever heard. The clock on the wall says time for me to get out of here. Let me conclude with this. Ladies and gentlemen, the last session has been on speaking to your mountain. I know that you need to speak to your mountain. You can pray all day long about your mountains. It'll just be standing there. You got to speak to your mountain. You got to tell your mountain, be ye removed. You got to, if you don't speak to your mountain will speak to you. How did they do that, Mr. Meriwether? Your mountain would say, you can't get that job. You can't live in that neighborhood. You can't get that woman. You can't get that kind of education. You're never going to do this. But you got to be able to speak to your mountain. In the name of the Lord Jesus, I demand you to remove yourself. I rebuke you. You mean you've been going to church and you don't know how to speak to your mountains? You don't know how to rebuke things in your life? Ladies and gentlemen, no wonder our kids are in bad shape, because some of our adults are in bad shape. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time that we speak to the mountain of public education. And we must say to Mr. Charlie, Mr. Superintendent, in my hometown, we are in the process of looking for a superintendent. In my community, it's just as quiet as a church mouse. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no talking. The NAACP and the organization of the Baptist Ministerial Alliance, nobody's talking. But just as soon as they say, here's the superintendent. Oh, why they keep on doing that? They keep on doing that because you don't have no more sins. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a change. It's time for a change. It's time we speak to the mountain and ask it to be thou removed, that our children can receive a quality education. Ladies and gentlemen, I sure like to hear your reply when your grandson, your granddaughter, your daughters, your sons say, Mama, Daddy, Granny, Papa, what are you doing to make sure that we have the same chance as Megan and Todd? Why are you allowing Megan and Todd to get a better education than I, and yet you tell me you love me? You love me not. You might as well go on out there and get your Cloverdale and start putting that clover off. He love me not. Because, ladies and gentlemen, some of you don't love him as much as you say you do. And shame on you, you will pay. Ladies and gentlemen, the clock on the wall says I got to get out of here. Thank you for joining me again this week. I look forward to seeing you next week. If you haven't had a chance to get a copy of my book, you can go to Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, or you can go to my website, www.morrismeriwether.com. Because I guess you don't want to do that because you don't want to hear the truth. You barely want to listen to my class because you don't want to hear the truth. You rather hear Mr. Charlie tell you a bunch of bull. Like to say the wrong thing. Thank God I caught that one. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. Take care. We'll see you next week. And as I used to say, remember that I love you. And it's nothing to do with me as a person trying to bring anyone down or talk about anyone else. My job is to be a servant, to make sure that I'm just not only a servant, but that I'm available to work for God. And so that's what my task is from here to the time Gabriel blow his trumpet. Where will you be when Gabriel blow his trumpet? Will you continue to sell the children out? Will you continue to watch our boys and our young men get killed on the street for no apparent reason? And then we tear up cities. They don't mind restructuring the city and rebuilding the cities. They don't mind paying millions of dollars back to the black family. They want to lessen the number of African-American males who will come into the forefront. And you don't get it. Take care. We'll see you next week.